so won't even need to leave that in
Yay.
status of mystery. Yeah, so actually I haven't updated the big North Fey Run map. I should probably do that. Oh my god, somehow the bear token is now subjected to the fear status.
That seems about right.
I want to see.
Oh, it's marked. Never mind. It's no longer marked. Okay. Back to the map of Bryn Shander. So you guys have finally made it. You, after all these months of travel, have gotten to the gates of Bryn Shander, and well, slightly outside of the gates, I guess. Last session, you guys helped the poor town of Fireshear deal with their mine problem, and Terran almost died, but through some sort of miraculous interaction with the gods, he was able to come to consciousness and save himself. And then you guys were able to rid the mine of the Behir, which had nested in there, destroying all of the eggs which reside in the cavern. And Varel was able to kill the final one using his mind in a horrifying display of power in front of
Pretty
the entire
great.
group. 10 out of 10. Would see again.
Recommend.
And so you guys mounted griffins and flew from Fireshear all the way to the outskirts of Bryn Shander, flying over the spine and the icy tundra of Icewind Dale, arriving sort of outside of the gate where Deshara said that she couldn't take you much further, for there are rules concerning griffins and town. But she said to keep her in your thoughts for the future. She'd be happy to come out and find you guys or help you guys if the gold was right. And she expressed that the going price was around 1,000 gold. Then she dropped you off, and you guys have started walking towards the city. I presented you with a map because I figured Isolde would have told you roughly the structure of the city in your casual conversations, thus giving you access to sort of a mental map, which would look something like this. But you are not inside the city yet. You are on your way to the gate, and as you approach the gate, you see that there is a crowd forming, and the gate is closed. Any questions before we start up?
Nope.
How close are we to that crowd?
I'd say it's, a 10-minute walk if you guys wanted to talk about something.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'd say as they're getting closer and it's clear that the gates are closed, Izzy would kind of stop the group and turn to them and say, I, as some of you know, spoke to my father, and I tried to also speak with my mother, but was not able to get in contact with her. I'm a bit worried that something has happened, and if that's the case, it might also be true that that I am in danger. So when we get to the gates, and she'll look at Taryn, maybe you're very charming. Maybe you could do the talking, and I'm going to pretend that I am not from here.
Okay, yeah.
Is there what's the usual reason why? Is there people hunting?
Well, there's a lot of conflict between different families and a lot of tension right now. The images that I saw of my father, the inn sort of looked run down, so I do plan on having us stay there, but it's possible that my family has been the target of something, and potentially that it's my fault. So I think it might be best if they are looking for me that I take on another name and try to stay out of the focus.
Okay.
He's got
Will
a
you,
name in mind.
Will you
Yeah.
tell us, maybe clue us in later when you have a chance? Maybe that'll help us avoid certain people or conflicts.
Sure. All I really know is what I told you all before about the leaders of the town sort of trying to do their best to keep barbarians away and sort of hunting out or labeling people who are causing trouble as barbarians and either sending them out of town or killing them. But that's really all I know, and it's been a long time. It's been nearly 7 months since I've been here, so I'm not sure what all this conflict, if that's what it is about, or if there's more. But I'll do my best to fill you in as we go.
Okay.
But for now, I think it is best that I be a red axe from New Gunderlin. I have the shield, and 'tis believable. So, if you could call me Astrid, I will pretend to be Ivar's sister.
I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Well, at the very least, it is a real person for anyone who actually knows the family, so I will just kind of stay back here and try not to draw attention. But once we are inside, the inn is very close to this gate, so once we are inside, I should be able to direct us to a safe place.
How far are we away from the gate?
Half a mile.
Half a mile.
The southwest gate, I assume.
Correct.
Let me see if I have that.
So yeah, she's
Is
gonna
the
like kind of
crowd-
push. Oh, go ahead.
And the crowd's gathering around the outside of the gate.
Yeah, you see people walking. You can make it out in the distance that there are people sort of walking around the side of the gate. So basically, like, you see a crowd of people walking this direction from the north side towards the gate, like they're walking around the city.
Okay. Do they look like guards or something?
No, at this distance you can't really tell, but it just looks like a lot of sort of normal folks, maybe like a caravan almost, some carts. Yeah, disorganized.
Okay.
She's gonna suggest people try to look as normal as possible. She's gonna take her Ioun stone off and like put the hood of her cloak up and bundle up in her furs.
Are there people like behind us, journeying around us? Sort of like other people waiting to get in the city, or not?
Not behind you currently, no.
Well, to blend in, I'll wild shape into a dog, sort of like a husky dog.
Okay.
Cute.
The sorcerer will be doing the speaking.
Yep, the
Apparently.
one that looks like a giant dragon.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm not gonna blend in.
Vader holds out his hand and says, "In case you misspeak."
Oh, nice. So it's a reroll if I mess up.
Yeah.
Sweet.
You're just chock full of pearls, man.
Oh, that's not the pearl, yeah, but that's helpful.
No, it consumes a 100 gold pearl every time you cast that spell.
All right, I'll check it off.
Yeah.
Were you an oyster farmer? Or clam farmer?
Varels glares at you.
I say in dog.
Um,
I just kind of bite your leg.
No.
I kick the dog and roll for initiative. No, I'm just
dog only has 1 HP, so you kill it.
I
Alright.
wild shape into a dire narwhal.
Done.
No.
And you die because they need to breathe water. I don't know.
Air?
I don't know.
Whales can breathe air.
Uh,
They're mammals.
I don't know.
I like how your move is to become a beached whale.
Yeah. Very mobile.
Yeah.
I want to show you that
Okay.
I'm serious.
So
I
what
also
is
don't want to kill you.
DeMarcus doing in this scene?
Yeah, DeMarcus is kind of just hiding in his furs because I am assuming it is like the coldest he has ever been, standing
Yeah.
outside in
Oh,
the
yeah.
northern
And in
area.
fact,
so he's
those-
just kind of like keeping up.
Yeah, and in fact the sun is already setting, and it's like 2 p.m. or something. Like it is, for those of you who aren't used to being this far up north, this is a very upsetting like time where the day is super short. What is Damon doing?
Damon pulls his furs and cloak tight around him to try and mask his appearance, and then he would just walk next to Taryn so that if like eyebrows were to get raised or something over a construct, he could try and masquerade as just the leader's property.
Got it. And Joha?
Similar to DeMarcus, Johoff is freezing his ass off, but he also has some considerable experience blending into things, just looking like just another person on the street. So he's kind of trying to strike a balance between looking like he's just another dude and also not freezing to death.
Got it. And did I miss anybody? Taryn, I guess?
He's just walking out in front. He makes no effort to conceal his weirdness.
Perfect. And I guess Varel too then.
Yeah, like Taryn, no effort to conceal his weirdness, but he's traveled far and wide and isn't quite concerned with standing out.
Very well. Okay.
Izzy's gonna say to Taryn real quick, if they ask why we're here, just tell them that we are adventurers, dragon hunters. It's close enough to the truth.
That sounds good.
Okay. You guys continue your walk. Anything before you get to the gate?
Nope.
Okay. As you arrive towards the gate, you see for the first time what's unfolding. There are a number of guards posted up on the city walls, and then a small contingent of guards down by the entrance to the gate. The gates are closed, but you can see that occasionally they are cracked open so that somebody can be let through. But as soon as the gate opens, the crowd sort of pushes towards it, and the guards push back, yelling loudly at them. The scene is one of a number of people looking like refugees or sort of people who have kind of put all of their belongings on their back and walked very far to get here. They look cold and tired and upset, and you hear the guard shouting, "No one of barbarian blood is let in. You must be screened before entering. Anyone who refuses to comply will be turned away." And you see the crowd yelling ferociously, saying things like that they're hungry, to let them in, etc. And as you approach, you see a woman with golden hair and sort of pointy ears, half-elf, who is standing next to a rather tough-looking guard who is communicating with a number of locals, and she seems to be casting spells which act as sort of a screening process for who can come in and who can come out. What do you do?
Izzy's in the back. Who is near her?
Vosner's just pretending to be her pet.
Taryn's up front, so.
Yeah. She is
Joe
turned
Hoff will
about
be standing by her.
And yeah, she would reach out to Joe Hoff and maybe to stop the others and just say, I'm not sure if there is another way in, but there's a possibility that I would not pass that screening. Perhaps we could find another way.
You can tell that DeMarcus is eyeing up all the guards and the gate, and he's so cold that he's in that state of mind where he's like, I'm getting in that door.
We could try talking first, and then see what happens from there. Like, I feel like we've got enough teleport spells between us that if that doesn't work, we might be able to just get you in.
Okay.
Veyra will grunt in agreement with what Taryn has suggested.
Vosner will start sniffing around. Are we by the fence or anything?
No,
Wall?
not quite. You guys are a little bit ways off. You haven't approached yet. You see the crowd, you see the scene, and you can hear what's going on, but you have not approached yet.
Hold on for a second. I've got a little bit of concern with this plan, right? If we tries to go in and Isolde here fails the test or whatever, that might put us on their radar, such that if we're on the inside and they sees us, they might remember us. Whereas if we just get in, or as it is, we might be able to sort of, not draw any attention to ourselves.
Would I know if there are wall guards, like, on every inch of the perimeter?
Actually, you would know that traditionally they don't post wall guards. In fact, the number of guards that Bryn Shander has is kind of notably usually pretty abysmal. There aren't that many people who serve in the town guard, mostly because there's just not that many people in Bryn Shander. So the fact that there are so many guards posted is unusual. You've never seen Bryn Shander like this.
Does anyone have a spell that would undo exhaustion if I'm gonna be leading the way? I might as well not have disadvantage. So like a restoration spell?
Yes. Yeah. Greater, right,
Yeah,
Jen?
greater.
Oh, that's...
I think it's 5th level.
Yeah.
So we probably don't have it.
I mean, I always have it prepared. But, it is a little bit costly. Not
Okay,
too
I
bad.
mean, it's probably fine. Taryn pulls out a potion of invisibility and hands it to Isolde, because this might work.
That is... Yeah, that's excellent. How long do those last?
No idea.
I think I have one here. An hour.
An
Perfect.
hour? Is there like somewhere that we could like duck behind for Isolde to like take it?
No, I mean, it's basically frozen tundra behind you, so
Okay.
like the guards have already noticed your whole crew sort of approach. Vosner turned into a dog sort of far enough away that they anybody who was looking might have seen it, but there's a lot of commotion, so probably didn't get detected. But now, the guards are already sort of waving at you to like come by and come over and chat to him, and you hear like "Hey, you over there? What's your business?"
Oh, hey, we are just trying to get lodging for the night.
You from
in
Ten
this fine
Towns?
town. South, actually. We're a group of dragon hunters, and we heard that there might be some worm troubles up here. So
No space for outsiders. Only locals at 10 Towns are allowed in to Bryn Shander. How'd you get here?
we flew.
He laughs. Right. Seriously.
It's fine if you guys don't want us. We just heard we had a seer told us about a dragon coming. You know how seers work. But like, if you guys don't want support of dragon hunters from the dragon attacks, that's up to you.
Roll persuasion or deception, depending on how real you think that works. Like how accurate you think that is.
Oh, he's making it up, so it's deception.
Okay.
What's disadvantage?
Control.
Control.
He.
I'm going to use the thing.
Okay. He looks at you and goes, I don't know anything about a dragon. He turns to the guy next to him and he says, Dagon, have you heard anything about a dragon attack? And an old man in a very nice looking helmet sort of stands up. He was the only guard who had been kind of sitting, and he goes, oh, a dragon attack? I don't know. I mean, I suppose, given what goes on here, could be expected, but it'd be rare. And he kind of eyeballs the group. Has Isolde taken the invisibility potion? I can't remember. Laurel? Hello? Everybody died?
I'm still.
Wait, what happened?
The Discord went silent on me.
Oh, okay. So I was asking, did you consume the visibility potion or not?
No, but she's staring at her feet.
Okay.
She heard that name.
Got it. So, anyway, so he sort of looks over the group and says, why don't you come over here and tell me what you heard? And he sort of pulls you aside, kind of away from that other group. And he kind of looks over your group. Well?
So we have a seer here. He kind of gestures vaguely to Vario and says, and as you know, seers see the future, right? You know that, right? And he saw in the shadows of the future, through the mysteries of time, that a dragon would come by the area. And you know what that means?
Well, I know what it means, but you think a dragon is going to outright attack the city of Bryn Shander?
Do you know how many great dragons are in the area? There's Clawthorn immediately to the south, and Arathator to the north. You know how they work, right? They just sit around for hundreds of years until local towns build up their wealth, and they swing back down, take everything, and then wait for you guys to do it again. It's just a cycle. We all know this.
And you're saying you're here to kill it?
That is the preferred method.
And,
Do you see my scales? See these colors?
yeah.
You know why they're not just straight silver?
Your parents
Each time
were... Oh.
I kill a dragon, I absorb its colors into my scales. So,
Wait,
this isn't new to me.
Alright. And, he sort of sighs and goes, I suppose I can talk to the head of the town, but, it'll take a while for me to get back to you. In the meanwhile, you'll have to be screened by the sorceress. It's required in order to get into the city.
Taryn just kind of stares at him like, why are you still here?
And,
Can I just look up just a tiny bit and ask, there aren't any exceptions?
he perks up a little bit. And he squints his eyes. And he says...
I'll lift my face and show him who I am.
He says, Isolda, is that really you?
It could be, if it's safe for it to be me.
He, sort of looks around him and says, come on, we gotta get you inside before the sorceress sees you. And, he sort of waves to the guards, and, they open the gate, and, he starts rushing you guys in past. He keeps looking back to see if the elite guard or the sorceress notice as he's doing so. And you guys just follow him in?
Yeah.
And as soon as you do, and you get behind the gate, sort of right behind the wall, he shuts it, and on the other side he says, "You'll find Haldor in the town square. Don't be spotted by any of the elite guard. If they, screen you, well... Anyways, I'm sorry to hear about your mother. It was, these are hard times. I have to get back out there. Good luck, Isolda."
She'll give him a friendly smile and say, thank you.
And, he smiles back and seems happy to have seen you. And, he opens the gate again and walks back out to deal with the crowd of people. And, yes, you guys have made it into the city of Bryn Shander.
That was intense.
The fuck just happened?
That, I know that man. He's the father of a dear friend of mine. But it sounds like I was right about my mother, so it is probably best for people not to see who I am. It'll make this a bit more difficult. Not exactly the homecoming I was hoping to share with all of you.
Yeah, well, let's just get you somewhere safe, right?
And now you find yourself in the city of Bryn Shander. There are a number of refugees who have sort of first poured into the gates. But as you look out into the city past the normal gate, you notice that a lot of the buildings are sort of not lit up, almost as if they're vacant. The streets themselves aren't really full of a lot of local activity. it seems like either everybody is keeping inside or they've gone someplace. And the city that you sort of once knew to be very alive is almost asleep. Where do you go?
I would suggest that we start with my family's inn.
Okay. As you guys walk through the city, it's quite peaceful, relatively quiet, and you walk through your sort of normal route, taking shortcuts that you remember from being a kid, until you find yourself in front of the Brynja Inn, which is not necessarily closed or anything, but there aren't many people walking around in front of it, and as you approach, the door is closed.
I'll go up and knock on the door.
You don't hear anything.
Can I try it? Is it locked?
It is unlocked.
I will kind of look at the others and open the door. Kind of peek my head in cautiously.
And as you do, you look in to a well-lit interior, though looks like it's not really being used. And there are nice wooden tables, like you remember, having grown up here, and a bar with nobody sitting at it. On the far right side of the room sits a man in a chair in front of a fire, and this is what you see. And as you walk in, the person staring at the fire says, "What are you here for?" Not even turning to look at you.
Lodging, hopefully. And I'll kind of step out to the front.
Sort of perks up, seeing you, and says, "Isolde?"
Yes.
And he stands up and rushes over to you and gives you a big hug. And he sort of... Oh, sorry.
Oh, nothing.
He looks over you and all of your friends and a very large dog, and he says, "Isolde, who are all these people? And what are you doing here?" And then he sort of gets sad, and he says, I told you not to come."
I know, but I couldn't leave you here knowing what was going on. These are my friends.
He frowns and says, "I'm not sure what you can do, but I can't say I'm surprised to see you here. You are your mother's daughter, after all." And then he smiles and looks at your friends and says, "Sit, food, I'll prepare something, and introduce me to your friends." And you see him, like, run off to the kitchen.
She's, like, beaming.
And you guys find yourself in the warm, cozy interior of Brynja Inn, though you get the feeling that not much in here has moved in a while. It's clean, but there's sort of a fine film of dust, as though everything was sort of set out and hasn't been disturbed or used in a couple of weeks. And he comes back out with sort of an assortment of foods, and he says, I don't have a lot of, great stuff to offer. They limit us, we're on rations at the moment, but I was able to sort of whip up some stuff earlier, and, well, anyways, It's all yours. And he sort of throws it out on the table.
Before he comes back out, I'm gonna wild shape back into a human
Okay, like while he's not looking,
while he's not there.
he comes out and does like a double take on the there once was a dog, now there's not a dog, but there's another guy here thing. And he says, where'd your dog go?
Oh, sorry, that was me. Less conspicuous as a dog.
Right. Yeah, don't do that in front of anybody here. You'll likely be kicked out of town.
They don't take kindly to druids?
They don't take kindly to much here anymore.
Oh.
But he says,
That's
come,
unfortunate.
sit, everyone. It's, I'm sure you've traveled a long way. Where did you come from? How did you get here?
It's a very long story, but when I left, I took a boat down the southern shores, down to Mossstone. And that is where I met most of these people. We were training together at a sort of academy.
Training?
And then...
For what?
Yes. Well, to be adventurers of sorts. To help people.
He sort of smiles and he says, you know, I suppose that explains the odd assortment of friends. No offense to all of you. We don't get such interesting people in Bryn Shander very often.
Yes, they're very odd, but very talented. And she'll kind of start going around the table. This is DeMarcus and Veril. He's the newest. We just met recently. And Damon. And my friend Taryn, which you already probably noticed. And Johoff and Vosner the Druid.
Well met. I'm privileged to have you here. Of course, it goes without saying you can stay here as long as you like. But I have to ask you again, why are you here?
Part of it is on business. And as I said, part of it was that I didn't want us to not check in on you, knowing what was going on. And I must admit, I don't really know what is going on.
He sighs and says, well, these are dark times for Bryn Shander, that's for sure. What do you know so far?
Obviously that they are screening for people with barbarian blood. And that things have escalated. I mean, there was always a division, but not like this. There's guards everywhere. Veril said that maybe there were frost giants and barbarian attacks. But I don't really know anything else.
He sort of nods solemnly. Did anybody else want to add in something? I thought somebody tried to chime in.
I was just gonna ask what is all to ask. So.
Oh, got it. He sort of sits in a chair next to you guys and says, well, yeah, they don't tell us much, but from what the locals can piece together, it appears that orcs and frost giants are sort of banding together. I, wouldn't believe it unless I saw it, so, these are all just rumors, but supposedly they fight side by side now, and they've been sacking cities on the north side of 10 Towns.
These are not rumors.
And he looks at you kind of curiously, but he continues on, and he says, "And to the south, there are barbarian tribes that seem to be doing the same, though it's not exactly clear what they're doing. They seem to be going into the cities, removing all of the people and taking what they want, and then leaving, sort of leaving behind ghost towns."
Taking the people where?
Nobody knows. But somewhere in the mountains to the south.
How odd.
Yeah. So you could see why Rayner's up in arms. Once this started happening, he sort of had as much authority as he wanted to start changing the rules around here in Bryn Shander.
I suppose that's a confirmation of a lot of fears that he was trying to peddle anyway.
Yes, unfortunately.
And what happened to Mom?
You can see him have a hard time answering that question. And he says, "I really don't know. She just left. She told me not to come looking for her. Told me she had a plan, but I don't know. I haven't been able to reach her. She hasn't contacted me, and many of the people who were sort of rounded up, the barbarian-blooded people in town, when they were kicked out, they didn't have anywhere to go, so they went to other cities at 10 towns, and most of those have been destroyed at this point. So it's hard to say."
Was that recently, or did she leave a long time ago?
She left about 2 months ago. The city started rounding up people about a month ago and forcing them to leave on their own. She got out before then, but I don't know where she went, and most of the places she could have gone would probably be destroyed by now.
Who destroyed those towns? Was it the giants or the barbarians, or I guess the
Both.
town folk?
Barbarians
Switching up
destroyed the
everything.
towns to the south, giants, towns to the north. Rayner says it's all a conspiracy, that they're working together to destroy 10 towns.
Has that ever happened before in the past?
Not in my lifetime.
But there's stories about it in the past then?
Not that I know of, but not really one for stories.
That's understandable.
So, what kind of business do you have here? I can't believe anybody would want to send somebody into this hellhole.
Our business is actually up north. The
North
sea
of
moving
here?
Ice. Yes.
There's not much more north than this place, but sure.
Do you remember the stories of Orathator?
Oh yes. I used to, your mother used to tell him. She was always
Do you
the better
remember
storyteller.
where he lived? Do you remember where she said that he lived?
Somewhere up in the ice. Moving ice, yeah.
That's where we're going.
He looks puzzled. He said, "You come this far north to seek the treasure of a dragon? I thought I raised a kid with more sense than that."
Dealt with dragons before.
Have you now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ancient ones with the power to freeze a man half to death with just his breath.
Only half?
Well, I guess hold of death.
We know what we're doing.
He sort of eyeballs all of you and says, "Oh, I hope so, but you're not gonna get any. I'm not holding my breath for it. I'd urge you to consider some sort of alternative plan if that's available to you."
Well, we try to be smart about things. If there's a way to accomplish what we're after without fighting a Rothator, that would be nice. But that is why we came here.
He nods, says, "How'd you get in past the gates anyways? I heard they're keeping anybody out that's an outsider."
Dagon, actually, was one of the guards, and he let us in.
Good old Dagon. They brought him out of retirement and made him be a guard. Poor old guy. I'm surprised they haven't tapped me yet.
Yeah. I'm sure you would be good.
Yeah, I think they know that I'd let anybody in that, well, anyways. I wouldn't be the type Rainer's looking for.
Yeah. Is Haldor running the shop by himself then, since Dagon is working?
Yeah, poor chap is overworked. They have him making spears day and night to equip the new robust town guard. I'm sure you saw them on the walls.
Yes, very impressive.
Yeah, just about every man and woman that can hold a spear in this town is being stuck on that wall now.
It looks like there's not that many, though. Like, the town looks empty.
Yeah, well, when they started rounding up people with barbarian blood, it became apparent that that was a majority of the folks here. And, well, once they started kicking them out, this whole place got a lot quieter.
Has there been any opposition at all to all of this? I can't imagine that all of the council members think that this is okay.
Well, 2/3 of the council turned out to have barbarian lineage, and they were kicked out of town. So the third remaining are rather complicit.
That makes sense. Well, it doesn't seem like any way for a town to survive.
Yeah. He says, as soon as Goodmead and Dugan's Hole were destroyed by the barbarians, basically he had free reign to administer whatever laws he wanted to, and the people went along with it.
What are the other towns that are still standing?
And for that, I will activate your map of Icewind Dale, And
Ooh.
I will share with you the current state of things.
I think I just won double Jeopardy or something.
That's right. How much do you wager?
Everything.
Map entries. Okay, so let's see. How much? I can't share all of this. Fuck. Okay. Dugan's Hole. He will share that. Did that just pop up on your?
Mhm.
Okay. So he shares Dugan's Hole and Goodmead are sacked by barbarians. You know Bremen and Lonelywood have been destroyed to the north, and he doesn't know what's going on to the east. And he knows that Targos is still fine. And Bryn Shander. What else? Oh, your map isn't changing, Dylan? Oh, so here's one thing you need to do. On the top left of your map, there is a little, I don't know, it's like a ribbon? Or like a, I don't know what you call it. It's the third thing down. And if you click on that, there's a little pin button, and if you click the pins, it will show the pins, I think.
Got you. Much thanks.
And now you can see all the little icons.
Skulls and whatnot, yeah.
Yeah. And, yeah, so I guess he would know that. So he's describing the sort of situation around you, and he kind of goes through each city. He mentions that Caer Dineval, one of the castle cities, was actually sacked as well, which surprised everybody since it was such a fortress. And that gives you a general concept of where the barbarian folk are. Oops. So now I can share this. And this. So, what he describes to you is that the north, all to the north, there are orcs and frost giants sacking cities and taking stuff over, past the Shagarne River and all the way up to Kelvin's Cairn. To the south, in the mountainous area, the barbarians seem to be holed up, and they have extended and sacked Goodmead and Dugan's Hole. You guys see all those things?
Mhm.
And let me share these things.
And to be clear, these are the Regedman barbarians or Uthgard? Or we don't know.
He says that he doesn't know, but that the word is that they use powerful blood magic, but there's also a rumor that the Regedman barbarians and the Uthgard have joined forces.
Ooh. So what are the blue areas?
Are the areas of sort of Bryn Shander, or sort of 10 Towns control. That they have like patrols and people who try to keep it safe. Currently, they are clashing with barbarians in the forests between Bryn Shander and Goodmead.
Marcus asks, given that the fortress fell, are there hopes that Bryn Shander is defensible? Have you repelled any raids so far?
He shakes his head and he says, honestly, I don't know if anybody would be able to withstand an onslaught by orcs, giants, and barbarians. That said, nothing has attacked Bryn Shander yet. And Raynor is adamant that the reason why is that we maintain a strong show of force. That our guards are well trained and well armed, and it wouldn't be worth it for them to try.
Do you feel confident in what he says, or is it
No,
boasting?
I don't believe a single word he says. That said, nobody's attacked Bryn Shander yet, and well, hopefully it stays that way.
Let's hope so.
The people here have hope, or are they waiting to die?
Well, as you can tell, the harshest part of winter is setting in now. There's not much daylight, not much food, and people are hopeful that we can survive this winter, get to the other side, and maybe rebuild, but I don't know.
Is there enough
Do
stored up?
raid. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. It's okay.
Do raids usually, even when it's not like conquest, but just normal raiding? Does it usually die during the winter? Die down?
You know, I really wouldn't be a knowledgeable enough person on that, but frankly, sometimes a harsh winter brings about more raids. People run out of food and they get desperate. But yeah, I don't know. He turns to his old and says, have you spoken to Haldor yet?
No, we came here straight away.
I'm sure
You
he'd like
alright?
to see you.
Yeah,
He was,
I wasn't sure how he would take things after I left.
well, he's a resilient man, but, well, needless to say, he was pretty upset when you left. And then he sort of frowns and says, we all were. We thought you died.
I was sort of trying to disappear, but I didn't mean to worry you that much.
Did Isolde actually leave a note to her parents explaining anything? I can't remember. Or is it just that letter that she never sent to them?
She told her mother that she had to do something for Ilmater, and then
Okay.
she left.
Got it. He says, I knew you were studying to, be a alleviator or whatever, but I didn't expect your religious inspirations to take you so far away so quickly.
Neither did I. But it wasn't the only reason why I left. Do you remember my friend Hammond?
The bigger one?
Yeah,
The-
he Well, his father was a barbarian, and one of Rainer's men killed him. And I saw it happen. And I retaliated. I was more or less just afraid that if that came back to us, that something... I didn't want you to be associated with me.
He nods. Says, you know, your mother once did the same thing.
Really?
Yeah. There was a scuffle, and I won't get into the details. She could... Well, I guess she can't tell you, but... Anyways. You're, a lot like her. That's all I have to say. I'm
sorry
sure
it took
whatever
me
you
so
did,
far away.
the person deserved it.
Nevertheless, you didn't exactly deserve me leaving, and I am sorry that I didn't speak to you at all until now.
Well, for a while I thought it was a curse, but after what happened here, I started to think that maybe it was a blessing that you got out of here before Rainer could hurt you.
It certainly has been a blessing. And I think maybe Belmater has given me the sort of strength that I need to help you all now. I'm not sure what that would look like, but...
Yeah, me either. But, yeah, I'm not really sure there's anything to help. I, thought about leaving, but, well, if your mother's still out there, I wouldn't want her to come back to an empty tavern, so, I'll just stay here. As for you...
If she's out there, we'll find her. If she is out there.
He sort of looks hopeful, but doesn't let it get the best of him. He says, you know, she could be out there. There were multiple places she could have gone, and some of them are still standing. And she's resourceful, but so many people have died. It would be hard to believe that we were so lucky. And then he gets kind of a bright look on his face. He says, that magic you used, where you sent me a message, could you use it to reach her?
I tried already, and she didn't respond.
Like, she was asleep, or?
No, it was more like it couldn't reach her. Like she was somewhere else.
But that can reach anybody, right?
Not if you're on a different plane. Or...
A different plane?
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that your mother is on a different plane of existence?
Well, that is sometimes what happens to us when we die. But it is also possible that she is just somewhere that is guarded from that kind of magic.
And he shakes his head and says, so there's very little hope.
A little is enough.
He stands up from the table and he says, "You guys can have whatever room you'd like. Um, if you need anything from me, let me know. You should be careful, and once you've finished getting what you're here to get, you should try to get away as far away from here as you can." And he sort of walks up to the kitchen with some dirty dishes, leaving you guys to talk amongst yourselves.
So,
I must say, the situation here seems quite dire.
it does.
Yeah, the Orc Giant Alliance may make it more difficult for us to get to the Sea of Moving Ice like we need to.
Hmm.
I'm just really sorry to hear about your town, your mother. I know that's it's hard when you can't return to a place that is home.
I mean, it's different. But, the inn is still here, and my dad is still here, and we don't know for sure that my mother is dead, so I don't know. I hope we could make things better, but I don't really know how.
Your dad said you're a lot like your mother. Could she also use magic like you use it?
No, I mean, she wasn't a cleric. She told me that she had some relations to barbarians, but we weren't really allowed to talk about it, so she didn't have any magic or powers that I knew of. She was just very, charming and gregarious and loud.
Do you know what tribe of barbarians that they're related to? Maybe there's like
No.
a holy site or something.
I don't know anything.
Well, maybe that'll give us a clue, possibly to help your dad. But it's just an idea.
Yeah, she could have gone south like you did too.
Maybe. I'm curious about what he said about barbarians, like clearing people out of towns and taking them somewhere.
If they're unified under blood magic, then it's not just the supplies of the towns that they're using.
What does that mean?
They're using the people. I was hoping that you might be able to tell us more about blood magic, Isolde.
Sacrifices?
I don't know anything about blood magic. I don't even know.
Can I make like an Arcana check to see if I know anything about
Sure.
disadvantage?
Damon's not saying anything as we're talking about Isolda's possible barbarian heritage, but he is staring very hard at you, Isolda.
Cool.
With a 16, Taryn, you recall this really long lecture that
That I
Ev-
totally zoned out
yeah,
from
that
Evander.
Evander was talking about, and he would not stop talking about this weird form of magic called blood magic, and how it was sort of like a divine type of magic, but it was a mixture of divine and arcane, and it was so boring. And you, that day, remember that you learned how to twin a spell that day, and it was actually really cool. And that was awesome. And so while you're thinking of this, you start remembering the first time you ever twinned a chromatic sphere, and you were like, yeah, that was pretty sweet.
That seems about right. Metagame, at least, it seems to me like if they need people from the outside for their spells, they're doing like bigger rituals. Would Taryn get like a feeling about that?
Maybe. I mean, I think DeMarcus has a sense of it, that it's entirely possible that people are being utilized for very dangerous rituals.
Okay.
I don't want to take us. Oh, go ahead.
Taryn would float the possibility that the rituals are bigger than like everyday magic and might be ramping up to something if they need populations.
Well,
Whatever
we
you find is a force bigger than the conflict that previously drove these two factions apart.
Well, we fought the Uthgard before. Are they known as magic users, or do they fit the more?
Well, they use blood magic against us.
Yeah, that's true.
Can
I get.
Sorry,
What?
can I make a history check to see if I know anything about the split between the Ragged Men and the Uthgard tribes?
Sure. Yeah. You know that they were split, and that the Ragged Men lived on the Ragged Glacier, the top right of the Icewind Dale map. And they mostly were a nomadic people that hunted the like caribou and reindeer that are up in that portion of the glacier, and they sort of move around and never stay in one place. And the Uthgard are known for living in the mountains and the forests, and are sort of a mix of hunter-gatherer types, and also sort of bandity. They would like sack cities for goods, and have been all over the north, even including places like the Silver Marshes and places near Silverymoon. And you know that they disagree on in terms of method, and that the Uthgard are much more violent and sort of primal.
I will recount that to the crew.
This might be a ghoulish question, but how much are we? How invested are we in this conflict?
If it is an obstacle to our task to the north, it seems we have no choice but to be invested.
But how much of an obstacle is it? And even if it's not as much of an obstacle, do we still want to be involved?
I don't want to take us too far afield from our mission, of course. But I think you all could understand that I would like to know, at least as much as I can, what happened to my family. So, if you want to try to gather information on Arathator and our objective from the locals, we might be able to kind of do two things at the same time. I think, regardless, we shouldn't go charging up to Arathator's lair immediately without some more information.
Do the barbarians
Marcus-
worship the dragon in any sort of way? Or have they been known to?
Not that I know.
Hmm.
Sorry, what did DeMarcus say?
Yeah, Demarcus kind of like leans back in a lull after we think about this, and he sort of like looks at Johoff for a moment. Then he just says, kind of like openly and almost like in a kind of contemplative way. He says, "What happened in Luskin and what we did was shameful in a number of ways, and also what we became down there. Up here, if we have a chance to do some good for all these people, maybe we try to help."
Also, just on another side of things, I think we might want to consider this fact. The guild can get fucked, so I think maybe we should just do what we need to do here, see what we can do to help Isolde, and, you know, if we get around to what the guild wants, fine. If not, who really gives a fuck?
I, for one.
Yeah, okay, who are you exactly?
He'll just glare at you and say, "Oh, he'd been quietly watching as you all put the pieces together on your own," and will say, "These two threads will be woven together on their own. We're not free to ignore either one."
She was looking kind of gratefully at DeMarcus and Joha for their remarks, but becomes kind of confused by Veryl's remark. The two threads of, like, the orcs and the frost giants, and then the barbarians? Or, like, that is all one thread, and then the dragon is the other thread?
He'll nod at the latter suggestion.
Interesting. I don't understand how that could be, but
The frost giants and Arathator is where the threads weave together.
I wish I was smarter about these things, but I will have to take your word for that.
What's the relation?
The frost giants are subservient to the dragon.
Interesting. Then maybe they'll know where his lair is.
It is
I've
likely.
never heard of such a thing.
Some dragons like having servants.
That's
Well,
true.
yes. Yeah, her face will darken a little bit at that comment.
I think that'll, I think DeMarcus and Johoff are right. We should focus on doing a little bit more good than just the mission. I feel like I become a little bit misguided myself, getting too wrapped up in the big picture.
in this case, Druid, the good and the mission are the same.
Yeah. But I think it's important that if we remind ourselves that we're doing good first, it'll help us a little bit more in discerning what we want to do next. How we want to go about it, and what's actually important to us.
Well, you guys know where I stand. I ain't here for the fucking guild. I'm here for you guys. So, I think it's we gotta figure out a way to help Isolde and her family.
No question.
Karen nods. His agreement.
I think that leaves us, maybe with a lot more questions as to where to begin. But there are other people that I know in town that we could talk to and get a sense of sort of how things are moving on the outside.
Who is Raynor?
Oh. 10 Towns is, or was, controlled by a council of representatives, one from each town. And of the council, one is elected the head of the council, and that is Raynor. He is Bryn Shander's representative and the head of the council, and as my father said, now one of only 3 councilmen. But this sort of the guards and the military might and the cleaning the town it's very much him, Raynor.
It sounds as though his plan has to do mostly with expelling what he views as undesirable residents.
I mean, the way that he puts it is he's trying to protect the town. But I think that you would find both myself and my father in agreement with you.
Is there any hope of approaching this individual? Perhaps not by you, but by Terran or one of the other members, presenting a different plan?
I don't think we would have a place to stay for very long if that happened. It would probably draw a lot of attention to ourselves. Can I insight check him? Is he like angry under his robot face right now?
Oh no, he's switched gears. He's trying to get at, like, it doesn't seem like there's a very good system in place to preserve this town, and so if we're gonna be like trying to help, like, we're not gonna be like fighting their enemies, we're also going to be fighting the town.
Yeah. Kicking people out while also needing more people doesn't seem like the best plan.
Yeah. It seems that this Raynor's plan for preserving the town is to destroy it before outsiders can.
I think that is very wise of an observation. But I think at least the position of Raynor and others that are on his side is that there's a lot more threat to come from the outside, so I think it would be very difficult for an outsider to, I guess, persuade him to take a different approach.
He will be persuaded of that from outside forces on his own.
Probably us or others.
Or he'll, die.
She smiles a little bit at that.
Are the frost giants the biggest threat?
I suppose. I mean, if they were able to take Delvin and some of those more fortified towns.
Like, I imagine the walls could be useful in stopping the Uthgard, but to an army of giants, they, no offense to your hometown, but they seem like a joke.
Yes, I'd say they're probably the largest threat then, especially if Veril is correct about them being the servants of a dragon. I do believe that barbarians are capable of empathy, but I don't know if frost giants are.
It seems that pursuing the frost giant angle is both the best decision for both of our goals. So maybe we should try to learn about as much about them in the morning.
Vera will take an uncharacteristically large gulp of ale at that.
Do
Is he
you
scared
know
of learning?
Do you know of any, maybe like, well, there's probably not a lot of druids here, but a lot of, maybe just wild men or people of the forest that would know more about the wildlife here. They may know more about dragon signs or strange signs than anyone else.
Sure, I mean, the fishermen would probably know, since they go up into the sea and to the river. There are, as I mentioned before, druids, but not here. They pass through here like adventurers would, but on their way to Kuldahar, there aren't really 10 towns druids.
Is that on the way to where we need to be? Or is that farther north?
It's much farther north. Beyond Kelvin's cairn.
Well, maybe if we're lucky, maybe we can run into them.
And I have unlocked it on your Icewind Dale map.
Ooh.
Just a little icon.
Oh, nice.
Ooh. Vosner's going on a vacation. I mean, pilgrimage to a big, shiny tree.
Working vacation.
Working vacation. Yeah, it's all about the research.
Well, it's only sort of mid-afternoon. I know that the darkness is kind of disorienting, but we could get some other things done in town, and then perhaps the best thing to do is to travel to some of the other cities, either the ones that have already been destroyed or the ones that are sort of on the cusp, and see what we can discover about the frost giants.
Karen kind of yawns a little bit and goes, I think I'm probably going to call it a day. I'm pretty exhausted from the battle and the ride, and I tend to make bad decisions when I'm tired.
That's fair.
Marcus says, "You're also not quite allowed free movement here, Isolde. If you're seen by one of the elite guards, we'll have a problem, and we can't just get in and out of the gates without a plan."
Well, it It'll be much easier for me to become invisible and then leave, but you're right. It will be tricky for us.
Especially if we're going to stay for some time.
I would like to at least stay long enough to go talk to a couple people and maybe pray at the House of the Triad. I will keep a low cover, of course.
I can go with you. Might be helpful. I'll keep to my wolf form just in case anything should go down, but people just look at me as a dog, at least.
If you're a direwolf, you will stand out as a direwolf.
Well, I've
You'd
seen
have to
regular
switch to like
wolves.
dog form.
Yeah,
Okay.
you could be a sled dog.
I could be sled dog and just bite really hard.
Hopefully you won't be biting anyone.
Hopefully. As long as
I
you give me
can,
treat.
I can come with if you want. I've got some considerable experience trying to help you not make a ruckus.
I'll go. The temple is something that I've been waiting for.
Good. I think that is, I think that will be good.
Okay.
And what time is it, John? Is it
I'd
like
say,
4
yeah, it's
p.m.?
like 4 p.m. I have to go pee, but
Okay.
let's take like a short break, and then you guys can decide who's going where. I'll just assume you guys are all going together to places, with the exception of maybe Taryn. Yeah, just decide where you want to go next.
Cool.
Okay.
You know, for a god, he has to pee an awful lot.
Sounds pretty human to me.
You guys think that we're paying enough attention to how concerned we should be about that blinking frog thing that ate our guide following still?
It's on my list of loose ends.
Is it really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just remembered that. I was like, oh yeah, that thing might be following us. Holy shit.
There
I
is an
think-
Any
I think
path
it's in
over the
league with,
spine in the world are
Red.
pretty safe.
there's an outside chance that it's become a god to the youth guard, and that's why they're
Yeah. Just like 4 years later, we're like down south in Kalimsham or something, and it just like shows up and eats one of us unexpectedly.
Probably while being ridden by bread or something like that.
God damn
Yeah,
it.
I'm pretty sure it's in league with Bread.
Amazing.
By the way, I had like a real life channeling Johoff moment as we were having that conversation before. I was just idly like keeping a to-do list for our party. I was like writing down shit like fight dragon, all that kind of stuff, and then we started talking about Raynor, and I literally crossed it all out and just wrote kill Raynor. And it occurred to me that I might actually be turning into Johoff in some sort of real world kind of.
This is fine.
It happens, yeah.
I don't know. I think at this point, Taryn might have the charisma to just like take over the town bloodlessly. So should keep that on the table.
Yeah, dude, your thing with the guard was awesome. Like, I was like, oh, I'd let him in. Shit.
Is it an
Father
elected
was very
position?
proud.
Yeah. The morally corrupted and deformed soul of Aristos is smiling upon you.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like for Vosner that like you've turned the corner a little bit. You might be getting better.
That's what live
Or
better looks
worse.
like.
Who knows?
I don't know. I think you'd rather have a happy dragonborn than a sad dragonborn.
That's fair.
Yeah, for anyone that's curious, as of the Luskin arc, there were 20 things on our open threads list.
I'm sure we'll get to all of them.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure.
Which
I'm
one is
sure
your
they'll
favorite?
Oh man. I mean, Mel and Hannah are up there, cause what the fuck was that?
Mm.
Also, the
That's not
portal
right.
that we found to the Feywild.
Oh
There
yeah.
was like a master druid who went in and left the bark people there, and at no point were we like, oh, who is the master druid? Does anyone know who this was? We were just like, okay, that's done. Close
We're
that
just-
portal.
Well, Evander
Congrats
assured us
before,
that the Master Druid was dead at this point,
Sure.
and
Definitely
Evander's
wasn't
never been
important.
wrong.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I think that was a time when we like just needed a win really badly, and so we just kind of took it at face value. We're like, all right, good job, guys.
Yeah, the fact that we talked a bunch of people into
Yeah.
just leaving instead of killing us.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty legendary, Taryn.
It did
Why don't
turn
you
out
guys
he
go
was
in
very
there?
helpful.
All right. What are you guys doing?
a lot of things.
Talking shit.
By the way, all of you get a point of inspiration
Ooh.
What?
for
Why?
just high quality RP and story
Aw.
engagement. 10 out of 10.
Wow.
You're
Like-
plotting something, I know it.
Now there's
He's
just
like,
a
"You're
fight
gonna
coming
need
up that you
this."
guys are gonna die, so I'm gotta give you all the tools I can. You guys are
Can
gonna
you
march into
have-
Raynor's office and fucking try to kill him.
Can you have more than one point of inspiration, or is it just like
No.
okay?
No. Okay.
So I should probably use mine a lot more.
Well, it's kind of a problem, right? Because if I don't hand it out for 25 sessions, then you're like, oh, I better save this, and then I hand it out twice in like 2 sessions, and you're like, oh fuck, I should have used it.
I mean, the problem is I totally forget about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's another problem. Just I don't hand it out enough, and I should. I should do it more. But now you have Varel, who's basically like an inspiration machine.
True.
Although
my
he needs
charisma.
pearls.
Yeah.
Yeah, until he runs out of pearls.
Yeah, but you guys are at the level now where like once you complete this quest, you're gonna make so much money. Like like 100 gold pearls gonna mean nothing to you.
Yeah, I was kind of kicking myself for not just like casting Greater Restoration on Terran, although we were close enough to the gates that they probably would have been able to see that.
True. Yeah, but
It
yeah,
also only costs 100.
yeah. You guys now are big spenders. You can afford it. I mean, it depends. If you're hard up for a job that pays well, it could bite you in the ass. I guess eventually you could run out of money, but
Yeah, my main concern is that it's taken diamonds.
mm-hmm.
We haven't been able to find a whole lot of them since Mirabar.
True story.
And then we wasted one on a gnome.
I know.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. I went out of this campaign by. I love that guy.
I know.
Oh, what a good character.
Rip.
I know all that shit.
Indeed.
That whole dungeon dive into the fucking ancient Netheries thing. I'm just
For
gonna-
nothing.
I'm in.
Well, and he took our Frost Giant Slayer with him.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Like right when we
Oh.
need him.
The boss.
Morty, yeah.
Johoff, you were talking about wanting a missile tattoo. You should just get Mortimer somewhere.
This is true.
Yeah, I think I might get like a Mortimer tattoo on some really like unspeakable part of Joe Hoff's body.
Oh my god. 4 legs on each inner thigh.
That's so
Oh,
fucking
God.
gross. We just got banned from Twitch, I think. The letter's coming.
Start referring to that as
kinda
his. Still gonna start referring to that as his force ballista.
Okay.
Uh,
Alright.
You're gonna have to tag this one as
the
explicit.
poor memory of Morty.
Sad. The Ludovics would
Somewhere
laugh.
Missile is crying.
That's a good tribute.
I mean, Veryl's all Ludovic, right?
I think that's canon. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Just a very tall gnome.
Yeah, we should have opened with
So
that. I am a gnome.
So it's 4 p.m.
Yep.
And most of us are headed into town.
Gotcha. You're going to the town square.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go
Cool.
see Haldor.
Alright.
That's the plan.
You guys leave. That's not what I want. I want a different song. Where's a good song? Doodle-a-doodle-a-doo. I keep turning to this one.
Also,
This is my
I'm gonna
favorite.
give Taryn his potion of invisibility back because turns out I have 2.
Yeah,
And
I'm
just-
sitting on 3 right now. Once you get
Yeah,
it
you guys
back,
keep
so-
finding them, and literally nobody ever uses them.
I feel like it would be very, very handy.
Very
Just
handy.
going to use them. But we're idiots. Just idiots.
No,
Okay.
it's hard to remember shit like that. It's fine. Okay, so you guys head out, and oh dang it, I made it daytime. Well, the town square
It's
is
okay.
daytime, but it is setting, like the night is upon you. Anyways, but it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and you stroll through town. Isolde knows the way. It's sort of nice to be back walking in your home, turf, and as you walk, it feels like, you know the way. It feels a lot closer than you remember it. You remember being like a trip to the town square was a big ordeal, and now you think to yourself that this is smaller than Mossstone even. And you stroll across the town and enter into the town square, which for the first time is a place that has some people in it. The rest of the way was pretty sparse, and mostly you just saw guards who seemed to not care about your presence. You get the feeling that the guards are mostly hassling people at the gates, and that on the interior of town, unless you cause trouble, they're not very much interested in you. So you find yourself in the town square where the snow is gently falling and people are walking around perusing shops, though the shops themselves are not particularly lush. There's still a good selection of things, and just a number of people kind of going about their day, collecting groceries and bringing them home. At the northeast or northwest side of the center, there is a man working at a forge, hammering away on some spear tips, who looks exhausted. And yeah, you guys kind of come to the center of town where there's a large fountain, which is kind of bubbling nicely, even though part of it is frozen over.
Nice. Are there like food markets, or is it pretty sparse on food?
Yeah, there's food.
I think I would stop and try to get something nice to bring back
Okay.
to my dad.
Yeah. There's a number of just nice things. Do you have anything in mind?
I don't know, like nice fish or a roast, or just like something that he maybe hasn't been able to afford lately.
Sure. So whatever dish was a specialty in your household that was sort of a luxury, you can find the ingredients for that for 1 gold.
Nice. But it good food. Gold. Okay. Yeah, so I'd gather that up and pack it up in a bag, and then I guess go towards the blacksmithing shop.
For the record, Taryn stayed behind.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Um,
it's if I delete your token, you won't be visible.
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to
Yep.
make sure we were aware.
And
And she like has her hood up, but she's not trying to hide from Haldor, just from everyone else.
yeah, he doesn't even seem to notice you. He's so focused on hammering away at this piece of metal. He's sort of grasping with tongs and hitting with a hammer.
She'll like watch him for a second, like not entirely sure what to say or how to say anything.
Yep.
Um,
He works hard. You can tell he has been doing this for a while, and he looks pretty healthy, pretty strong, smashing away at this piece of metal, and he looks satisfied with it, and throws it into a pile and grabs another piece and starts to go to work.
do you have time to take a break?
He doesn't even look up, and he says, "No breaks here. Got a quota to fill. What do you need?"
Just a minute to talk with you.
And for the first time, he recognizes your voice. And he looks up, and then he looks around, and he sort of lowers his head and gets back to hammering and says, "I thought you died. You shouldn't be here."
Well, I am here. Do you think you could take a break?
Yeah. And then he puts down the hammer and says, "I got a few minutes. What's going on?"
I was wondering if maybe we could come inside and sit down and ask some questions about what the hell is happening here.
He sort of eyeballs the guards on around the town and says, "I got a quota to fill, and if I take a break and go inside, they'll know something's up. But we can talk out here. Just he says, kind of ushers you back into the alley a little bit.
Yeah, she'll pretend to be like taking a look at the stuff that he's making.
And he keeps hammering away. Well, what do you want to know?
Well, first of all, if you're okay, don't take it personally, but you look a little tired.
And he does seem to take it personally, and he looks up at you, and he says, you've collected quite a few scars since I last saw you. Out adventuring?
Something like that.
Well,
Sorry I was gone so long.
never mind that now.
Look, we were here to address a different problem, but my father told us what's going on with the frost giants and the orcs. You're the one outfitting people. Do you know, like, where these clashes are happening?
Well, saying around here is that any place that's not Bryn Shander is under constant threat, and even Bryn Shander might be too. And then they say, "Oh, Haldor, you better make more spear tips. We're gonna need all the spear tips we can get." So I make spear tips.
She laughs a little bit. Well, we are thinking about going north to see about the frost giants.
What about them? To see how fast they can kill you?
Yeah, that's why we're here. See how fast they can kill us.
Well, I'll save you the mystery. It's quick. And it's not painless.
Fair enough. Is there anything better that we could be doing with our time? Is there any way to help this city from dying?
He looks up at you and says, "You know how to make a spear tip?"
No, you never taught me that.
Yeah, well, it's not that hard, but I'm not sure what else they're supposed to be doing right now. Says, you should have stayed out when you were gone. There's nothing here.
That seems to be Bryn Shander's new motto. But I am here, so I'm going to try what I can to make things better. And glad to see that you are doing what you can as well.
Yeah, well, I'm doing what I have to. I don't really make the calls anymore.
Well, if you do get a minute or you want to talk to me about anything, I'll be staying with my father. At least for a little while. Just a couple days, maybe less.
He sort of sighs and he goes, "What is it you're looking to do?"
It's a complicated question. Originally, we were just here to fight monsters, essentially, but it seems like there's, I don't know, a disease here.
Well, there's plenty of monsters. Within and without.
And what do you know about the ones within?
Well, they're kicking out anybody who shares your like, and they're
It's okay.
not letting them in.
Yeah. Well, once we get a better idea of,
Get it.
I guess, how to
Get-
make change.
Stan. You talking to
Oh,
your dog?
sorry.
It's fine.
Thought I was muted.
Once we get an idea of how to make change, if there's anything that, I don't know, that you can help me with, would it be alright for me to call on you for help?
He says, depends on what you're asking me to do. I can only do so much. Look, Izzy, I'd like to help you, but I don't even know what you're here for. I don't know what you want to do. You want to help? Stop the barbarians from sacking cities. Kill every giant you see. Or learn how to make spear tips.
Alright. Sorry to bother you.
He says,
It was nice to see you.
It's not you. It's well, it's partially you, but I haven't got a lot of sleep lately. It's I have a kid now.
Nice.
Yeah, well. Anyways, if I had known what Bryn Shander was gonna be, I would have maybe made a different choice. It's not a good time to be a child, but well, anyways.
I think it was a good choice. Any kid is lucky to have you.
Wow.
And it was nice to see you.
Take care, Izzy.
You too. And I'll go find this group, whatever the fuck they're up to.
Yeah, what's Vayrol, Johoff, what's everybody doing in the marketplace? What's Johoff up to in the market?
Well, Joab has heard tales, indeed been promised, that the North has some of the best ale in Faerun. So he's doing some scouting missions just
Yeah.
to see what's there to drink.
Yeah, there's some stuff available, but you go to one of the stalls and you see like on their board it's just like sold out, not available, sold out, like not in stock, just like crossed out all these like delicious sounding beers. And but they have some around, and what's left you are able to acquire, and they are very, very good.
Okay, so I'll be doing that, but also kind of keeping like a.
Like a what?
I think cut out for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, you cut out. Get back.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, while I'm doing that, Joe Hoff will keep an eye without being too obvious about it on what's going on with his old,
Okay.
like, making sure that nothing bad happens, because he kind of gets the impression that maybe this ex-boyfriend's a bit of a dick.
Yeah. Very well.
Marcus is strolling around with Joe Hoff as he goes through his tour of the beer garden, and DeMarcus is more just trying to kind of get like a vibe for the city. Like where Joe Hoff is scouting around for beer, DeMarcus is more like looking at this place and imagining what's going to happen when it gets assaulted, basically, by orcs and giants. And he's trying to like just look at the people and try to get a vibe for like kind of where they're at in terms of what they think is going on, and they seem like they could repel a defense or if they'll just kind of get slaughtered.
Yeah, DeMarcus, with his knowledge of warfare and having fought frost giants in the abyss, would know that the city's defenses are okay, but a large enough force would just plow through the city, and that once the walls were breached, the interior of the city would be just torn to shreds. There's no solid, there's nothing here.
Yeah, okay.
If DeMarcus is strolling around with Johoff, this might be a good opportunity for them to have a chat. Do we have a second?
Totally.
So as they're walking around, Johoff is gonna, take a big gulp of ale and then say to DeMarcus, "Look, if you got a second from staring creepily at all these people in their buildings like he is, we should probably talk about something."
Yeah, what is it, Joel?
Well, it's no secret, I suppose, that I'll think very highly of you, and I'll care about you. It's also no secret, I suppose, that I am, I suppose suspicious is maybe a bit of an understatement, but I is suspicious of the guild and what they's up to.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I just think rather than you finding out at the same time as everyone else, I should probably let you know that after we does what we does up here, my plan is not to continue on with the group.
Yeah, I understand, Joel. It's not a surprise. I know how you feel about the guild, and I'd say I blame you. I'll miss you. What do you think you'll do afterward?
No, I'm not sure yet. My entire life I was just some tough little orphan kid in the sewers in Mossdown, and to your guys' credit, you've kind of opened the world for me a bit more than I ever expected. So, I don't know, I suppose it's a little late in life, but the world kind of is my oyster. We'll see.
Well, I don't know if I could do what you do. Some people seem to, but to me, it never seemed like you could go back after you learned about all these things and after you got into these positions and understood what was going on in the world. It's hard for me to imagine just walking away or retiring. But if you can do that, then I hope you do.
Well, I doesn't know that I'm exactly retiring yet. If my Willem had not found me when I was just a kid on the street, I probably would have fucking died there. And I didn't know shit about spell plague or what was going on. I just knew I'd lost my parents and the whole world was turned upside down, right? And I'm not saying there's no room for people who are fighting on some kind of grand level, good and evil, sort of bullshit that keeps getting fed to us by the guild, what was doing. But honestly, I would have felt like the world was a better place if there was just one person who stuck up for me. So I might not exactly be retiring, but I think maybe it's time for me to look to doing some good on, a bit more of a local level.
Looking back at everything that we've done, do you think that we've done any good?
I wouldn't still be here if I didn't think that. What? I mean, I come to love you all as a group, not just because of who you is, and what you've done for me, but because I legitimately believe you guys has done some good, a lot of good, really. Well, fuck. Look, I wasn't gonna. You know how I said back in the day when you first met me that my main goal was bringing justice, killer of Willem, right? That was kind of my thing.
Is it still your thing?
Yeah, well, here's the crazy bullshit part of it. You are looking at Willem's killer.
What happened?
Oh, Mostown was in its early days, and you know, gangs wasn't like it is now, right? With the two gangs more or less kind of, pass them shit out. It was every bloodthirsty asshole, enough power to get 2 or 3 people following around, had their own gang, and so it was pretty much chaos. And that's actually why the blood pits were first created, to try to settle some of that. And I got brought in, right? And this was after Willem had found me, and we had, grown close, as you could say. And I lost myself, right? I was so angry about everything that shouldn't happen to me in my life that I just couldn't control what I was doing anymore. And now the blood pits is pretty rare for someone to just rot out, die in there, right? But boy, in that day, pretty much anyone who got in the ring with me died. Even if they was down, and even if the fight was over, I'll make sure to kill them, just to try to show how fucking angry I was. Well, anyway, Willem was always a better person than me, and he got in the ring to try to stop me. Well, he fucking stopped me once he died. So, I thought I was gonna just kill myself, right? Best way to bring justice, right? Just kill the fucko, kill Willem, which is me. But then I got this bird of an idea. I heard some people in Mossdown talking about seeing their loved ones after they died, and I don't know if Willem would ever forgive me, but I at least wanted the chance to go and fucking talk to him, maybe, if there is such a fucking thing as the afterlife, I don't know. But I figured, just killing myself with his blood still fresh on my hands, I never get a chance to actually get close to him, so I held off killing myself, or getting myself killed, I guess, to try to redeem myself. Now, the end goal was always to die, but I thought maybe I could die with a little bit more, I don't know, something to show for it besides killing my lover. So, anyway, yeah, I didn't think I was going to be spending today telling you that, but I think it's important for you to know that I firmly believe you guys have given me that opportunity. So, do I think you've done good? Yeah. Fuck yeah. Stay with you because I thought you did fucking good. Because I thought my very soul, if there is such a fucking thing, hanged in the balance. And, I will always owe you for that.
Marcus kind of has been looking just kind of very thoughtfully at Joaf the whole time. And when Joaf kind of like drops off right there, he says, as he looks off for a second, looks back at you. Any of my friends got in between me and Ice Giant or Devil down in the abyss, enemies of Tethier on the battlefield, they died. Hard to say if they died for me or if they died for some cause that we were fighting for, but I'd never think that they didn't know what they were doing. The only thing that I can do is keep going on, Trying to keep fighting that fight, fighting what I thought we were fighting for, and we all agreed on then. Willem, if he's the man you say he is, knew exactly what he was doing. He'd do it again. I don't know if it's exactly right. It's not my place to say this, but maybe an injustice wasn't committed that day on your part. Maybe you've already atoned for everything you need to atone for. What did you see when you looked at that statue, Joe? Still somewhat of a paladin. I know it was full of divine energy. What happened?
I don't know. It was a bright light, right? And then I heard Willem's voice calling my name. That was it.
Well, we might be done with what we're doing here at some time. I can almost promise you, Joe, that I don't know if this project that we're on right now, the big picture, is done with you. I understand why you feel the way you feel about the guild. I can relate to that. I don't entirely trust the guild myself. Out in the field and battles far away from home, everybody has doubts about the cause that they were fighting and who sent them. Suspicious, lose trust. If you really feel that way about the guild, I'm not totally sure that leaving a mission like this would even be the best way to accomplish what you want to accomplish. If they're what you think they are, the worst case scenario, being close to them might not be the worst place to be. If you really want to accomplish the good that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I've considered that. I'm not gonna lie. I thought maybe by sticking around and being that voice for the group, right, that maybe I would start to sway some people. I think the moment that I began to doubt whether that was ever gonna happen was with that sarcophagus shit, right? We just gave it to some sort of mysterious wizard's alliance and walked away. And I don't know. I think that maybe was just a thing that tipped the scales. But I'll take your meaning, yeah. Look, I mean, whatever I decides to do at the end of all this, if I decides to stay, if I decides to go, well, I just hope you know, right, that you guys need me. You say the word and I'll be there. Not for the guild, of course, right? But for you guys.
DeMarcus kind of like, sort of like jovially or jocularly sort of like elbows Joe off as we're walking alongside each other. As I know. Something I always wondered about you. When you were down there sort of, I don't know, policing the sewers or whatever it was, what did you think you were doing down there? What was the purpose? You seem to have all kinds of beliefs about how it should play out, what was right or wrong down there.
Yeah, well, I suppose some of it was just a mixture, right? After the event, I was trying to drink myself into an early grave, I suppose.
I always wonder. Oh, sorry, he's going. Back in.
Oh, was I dropping out?
You just dropped just for a second, just for like a quick second. The last thing you said was drink yourself to an early grave.
Oh, right. I was just saying, right, you know, I probably would have died there, but Big Pete actually found me and kind of got me back on my feet. So I suppose some of what I was doing there was just repaying him that kindness. Some of it was just me falling back into my old sort of street rat ways. Well, that's all I knew. I was too young to really have a strong set of beliefs when my parents died, so that's all I knew. But you should also know that The gangs I was part of what we did was protect people. People that, you know, those uppity asses sitting up in their towers that ran Mosstown didn't even fucking know existed. Didn't give a shit. So, well, I suppose it's a little bit cliche, but, I mean, somewhat I thought I was sticking up for the little guy.
What's so special about the sewers? Why is it that control over the sewers let you stick up for the little guy?
Oh, well, you can get fucking anywhere, right? From the sewers.
Marcus kind of like stops and looks like at you like really intently, and you're not just like walking around like pals anymore. And he looks you right in the eyes and he says, "You can't see that what we're trying to do with all these portals is just like that, but much, much, much bigger. You're fucking blind, Joe off."
Yeah, well, I suppose that's probably fair. Maybe I'm a little bit blind, but if you don't see that there are some pretty crucial differences here, I think we might be sharing in our blindness a little bit.
I think I see what you mean, Joe off. That's why we need you around, to make sure that we don't stop seeing that.
Well, look, decision ain't final. Hell, I don't even know why I'll make plans in the future anyway. I might die tomorrow. But, I will think on what you said. I want you to know, if I still decide to go, it's not any sort of reflection on how I feels about you or anyone else in the group, right?
No, Joe off. I don't think anybody would take it that way. Do what you want. You're the old man in the group. We can't stop you. I don't think anybody can stop you. You're pretty slippery.
Yeah, I don't feel it these days. My age is more than catching up with me, I think.
Marcus nods, and you guys, we probably keep moving. And that's all I really wanted to say in a
Yep.
conversation like that, if you want to get anything.
I'm good.
Yep.
Not that.
Solid. All right.
So good.
What is what's Damon doing?
Damon is just kind of attending to Izzy and making sure she's not accosted or anything, but when he gets the chance, amid like whatever little bustle is going on this afternoon, he does want to turn and just ask Vero one question. If Vero is kind of just milling around as well.
Yeah, Varel temporarily went up to this squid, looked at it, went, disgusting creatures. And then he came back.
Yeah, so Damon looks to you and says, Farewell, you stated that the frost giants were the fabric that would intertwine with our quest to the dragon. This is correct, is it not?
It is.
I wonder, do the barbarians to the south intertwine with this story as well? It seems coincidental that this sort of pincer attack from either side could be happening, with one half being related to our journey and the other half being merely coincidence.
He'll pause and go, I cannot say for sure whether it is coincidence or whether the two are connected. It does seem to be more than coincidence, though. I believe all of these outside forces are conspiring together.
I see. It is disappointing that you cannot tell me more, and it is disheartening to hear that so many things may be conspiring against us. But I suppose we will simply have to make do with what comes. And then he's not really going to say anymore, because he doesn't want to end up saying something he shouldn't.
Uh-oh. Fair enough.
And we already had Vosner's a dog, and Taryn isn't there, so that covers everybody?
I think so.
Okay. And so you guys sort of go your separate ways and walk around, and then you sort of meet up again I'd say at this fountain, after everybody's had their collective conversations. What do you do now?
She would probably want to take them by the temple because she's wanted to show DeMarcus the House of the Triad for a while. But I don't know if she'll go in, or maybe she'll take an invisibility potion before she goes in. But she doesn't really want to be there. So we'll make our way that direction to the Triad, the House of the Triad.
Yeah, okay. You cross town, and again, like before, as you leave the center of town, the population sort of dwindles, and the streets are pretty bare. Occasionally, a person walks by carrying some groceries, but it is pretty. Or a patrol of guards, comes marching through as a new group of people comes to relieve other people off of their duty on the wall. And nobody really bothers you. You approach the outside of the Temple of the Triad, and in front of the temple you can see atop it 3 different symbols representing each one member of the Triad. Torm, the god of justice, Ilmater, the broken god, and Bahamut, the dragon god of law.
Yeah. I think she'll just keep her cloak up, but she'll go in with the others to check it out.
Let me change this. You
Would Vosner get stopped being a dog following her in?
No. You're not stopped. And you guys find yourself in the entryway to a temple. Though it is not a huge temple, it is still a fairly nice one with marble and limestone and well lit, and there are a number of acolytes and priests walking around, tending to things, reading books, sort of just shaping things up. And as you step foot into the space, Zolda, you feel a sort of levity, as though you are in a protective space, and sort of the woes of the world begin to dwindle as you step into this hollowed ground. And in front of you, you recognize a figure, an old senior Mateo, the person who runs the Temple of the Triad, and he seems to be in a heated discussion with a man who is wearing a gilded gold horned helmet, who seems to be kind of with hushed tones, but sort of roughly arguing with Mateo about something which you cannot hear.
Can I just kind of move in, just like looking at the statuaries and stuff and trying to look inconspicuous until I can begin to hear their conversation?
Yeah, you can attempt that. Let's do a stealth roll if you're trying to be sort of approach subtly. Yeah, so for the most part, you walk in fairly normally. You've still got your hood up, and you're just sort of looking around, and the old man sort of turns to the man in the horned helm and says, "I have guests. You must leave now." And the guy in the horned helmet sort of turns dramatically, and his sort of like billowing cape and furs sort of fly out behind him, and he kind of angrily steps towards the door, and his men follow behind him as he leaves, and they don't seem to like wait for you to get out of the way. And do you guys move or?
Fuck no.
So as soon as DeMarcus walked in, he doesn't really care about anybody in here, and he would immediately look for like if there's a specific kind of Torm altar anywhere in here, and
Yeah.
he would go like straight for that without caring about anything.
Yeah. So DeMarcus, the Torm altar would be this way.
Okay, yeah. So DeMarcus would pretty much like already be up there, basically.
And I'm just going to say this right here is the Torm altar, this sort of statue of a soldier.
Marcus sees it and takes a moment, and then he actually just like puts all of his things down right in front of it, and he like sits there Indian style like a child.
Sweet. Okay, we'll return to that in a little bit. As this horned helmet figure is walking out, he turns to you guys and says, "Get out of the way." To Johoff and Damon and Beryl and Vosner and Taryn. Oh, I guess Taryn's not there.
Yeah, Joe-Off's not about to start making a scene that could cause issues for Izzy, so he steps out of the way.
Taryn uses his breath weapon.
Alright, roll for initiative. Taryn he's gonna have to run for the first 40 turns to get from the other side of town, but he'll get there. If he
But he
uses
feels
haste.
it in his bones.
Varel pivots, leaving his right foot in place, and kind of just turns to the side, but doesn't really move. Just
Okay.
Damon steps to the side and follows him intensely with his eyes as he walks out.
And they sort of squish past you, sort of confrontationally, and then they leave.
Can I make a roll to see if I recognized any of his get-up?
Yeah.
Would that be like history,
Yep.
religion, history?
History. Nice. That guy was wearing religious clothes, though you're not exactly sure what order. He seems to be sort of a high priest of some sort, but not for the triad. And he seems to be a figure of authority in this town, and you know that traditionally religious figures have some sort of authority in Bryn Shander, sometimes as advisors to the High Council, and so you, based off that really high roll, deduce that that guy is probably Raynor's sort of religious council.
Of a very pleasant order, I assume.
Oh yeah, no, really nice.
Yeah, she's gonna avoid Father Mateo and just kind of bop around. If there's an altar to Il Mater, she would go there. But she really just wanted to bring DeMarcus here.
Got it. Okay. What are the rest of you doing in this temple?
Joe-Off is going to go from altar to altar with his hammer and kind of go, "Huh," and like hold it out in front of each altar and see if anything happens.
Yeah, nothing happens. I'll just save you that. But as you do it one by one, nothing seems to happen.
Shocker.
At one point,
Wagner.
one of the priests comes up to you and says, "Excuse me, sir, please don't do that. This is a house of the lords."
No, it's all right. This is a divine hammer. Right. Thank you, Dale. Thank you. If you guys have like any ale, just bring me a glass. Thank you. And then he goes back to doing it.
He looks dumbfounded and just walks away. Goes and tells Senior Mateo that there's a scary man walking around with a hammer. Damon, what are you doing?
Damon is going to try and just keep to himself mostly to try and avoid bringing unwanted attention, but he does want to stay close enough to provide backup for Isolde should anything happen.
Very well. Taryn, what are you... Oh, Taryn's not here. Vosner, you're a dog still?
I'm a dog still, but I can still do things.
Okay.
Vosner will go sort of keep Izzy in eye shot, but he'll kind of hang around DeMarcus and just kind of see if he could like connect with that moon spirit as he goes from altar to altar, sort of like what Johoff's doing, just kind of taking a moment and see if he feels anything.
Yeah, you, as you sort of patrol around, a number of priests sort of give you odd looks and go and bother Senior Mateo, who seems to be trying to figure out whose lost dog this is. And, but you don't get any sort of pings from the moon goddess, who is not represented here.
Okay. Are there any sort of like nature religious iconography around?
No, this temple is specifically to the three gods involved in the name. So the Torm, Bahamut, and Ilmater.
Well, I guess after I make my rounds, I'll just sit next to DeMarcus.
Which solves the riddle of whose dog this is, and the people stop asking and trying to figure that out. What is Veril doing?
Kind of just standing pensively at the door with his eyes closed, maybe barely open, just to monitor things, but for the most part, he's just waiting and keeping an eye on the crew.
Very well. Returning to Isolde. What's Izzy doing?
She is going to the Shrine of Ilmater. I assume that's like in this adjacent corner here.
Yep.
And is gonna pray, but she's trying not to draw any attention because she doesn't really want to talk to Father Mateo, so.
Yeah. As you begin to pray, what are you praying about? And are you actually looking to like commune or anything like that, or just narratively praying?
Just narratively praying for now. Kind of, generally attuning to the spot. I have a reliquary for a particular spell that I'm gonna be able to cast, and I just kind of wanted to like narratively get it blessed and, be around the temple.
Oh, is that the thing where you can teleport back to any location?
That's next level. This is where I can summon a celestial guard person.
What? Can you post that in the
Yeah.
chat?
Yeah, let me look. Let me find it.
Celestial guard. Did you make that spell up?
No.
I would.
Calm bullshit. I know. Half of
Is
Vosner's
Celestial
spells are
guard
like...
made of blood?
Half of Vosner's spells are like the spell that natures all the things. I'm like, what? That seems weird. It's strangely worded. He's like, it does 45 D12 nature damage. I don't know. It's in
Pretty
my book.
much. I mean,
I'm just gonna copy and paste it.
Very well. Oh, is
I
it
have
not
the
in
ability to cast it, and I haven't prepared it today, but
You call for the celestial spirit, Mintus, blah, blah, blah. Oh my god.
and I bought the reliquary for it, which was 500 gold.
Damn.
It is concentration for up to an hour.
Okay, so what you're saying is like it needs to be blessed by Ilmater? Is that...
It doesn't need to, but you know, it's part of the story.
Okay, got it. I was just making sure I did all the mechanical things I needed to do. Okay,
You're
yeah,
good.
you pray and sort of provide the foundation to connect this reliquary that you bought to this spell that you are preparing. And while you do that, DeMarcus is praying before the Torm statue, and Senior Mateo comes over and says, "Is this your dog?"
Yes, sir.
We normally
I
don't
wag.
allow for dogs in such a place.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I promise he's house trained.
He looks over the dog, says, "Very well. What brings you to the house or the temple of the Triad?"
Oh. I knew that you would have some kind of a shrine here for Torm. It's been a very long time since I stood before a Torm shrine. Since I was a kid, to be honest with you, it feels like.
Well, Torm may not be the god of mercy, but he does forgive.
I hope so.
He looks over you and he says, "You have the look and the build of a paladin."
Yes, sir.
"And you will to fight for Torm?"
Marcus pauses, looks at the statue. He's had this weird, like Vosner, when you walked up to him, he has this weirdly, like, childish kind of, like, happiness to him right now. Like, it's a strange vibe. It's actually not very heavy at all. And he sort of looks at the statue and he looks back up at the priest like a little kid and he says, "Yes, I will to fight for Torm."
"Well then, make your oath, paladin. I'm sure he will enable it. Torm is always looking for warriors of justice. Perhaps you can aid us in this upcoming battle against the darkness."
Marcus gets on both of his knees and he bows his head before the statue. And it looks exactly, like a little kid in church in a pew. And he actually says this really simplistic, childish Torm prayer that doesn't have anything to do with anything. And it's just like, "I promise I'll be nice and Torm is great." It's like a very like childish catechism that like all Torm adherents would know and learn very early from his childhood. And it's kind of like the one that he always used to say even when he became much older and was a Torm paladin. And he was always slightly embarrassed about using the very simplistic prayer. And he says that prayer to Torm, and he finishes, and it doesn't take very long.
Vosner, in the meanwhile, silently like wags his tail as he watches you do that, because it just seems different, but in a good way. I don't think Vosner thought he would see DeMarcus looks so happy again, so he kind of appreciates that and kind of wonders what the gods have, what stake that they have in this whole thing that they're trying to accomplish.
So wait, was that a question for me?
I think he's just kind of thinking it to himself.
Got it. Yeah.
Because he's not picking up on any sort of nature-y things. So
Very well. Yep.
Until he gets some feedback, he's just kind of wondering that out into the nether space.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's not a lot of feedback for him to be had here, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, and as DeMarcus sort of finishes his strangely childish but wholesome moment, and stands up. Mateo says, "Well, that was an older prayer, but it works. Very well. What brings you to Bryn Shander in these dark times?"
And we heard that the town was in need of assistance. We know that there are orcs, ice giants, dragons.
Yes, there are. Do you plan to do something about them?
Well, my friends and I, dog included, have some experience in fighting such things. And yes, we intend to do what we have to do to save the people here.
Yes. Well, we could use you. What do you need to know?
The people in charge of this town, can we trust them or not?
He looks around the room and he says, "You can trust them to act the way they've been acting. They are consistent. But as for whether you can rely on them to do the right thing, that is something else entirely."
He looks at the Torm statue and he looks at the priest and he says, "So we shouldn't assume that the leaders here are good."
Misguided at best, and something else at worst. Unfortunately, they no longer seek my approval. I've had a number of my priests be conscripted into the guard, which has, disrupted their vows.
Conscripted so that they can be healers?
Healers, fighters, anyone who carries a spear is eligible for the guard now.
Very sorry to hear this. What do you know about the alliance between barbarians and ice giants?
I know of no such alliance.
Do you know anything about blood magic?
I've seen it.
Where?
He sort of pauses and says, "I was there trying to help people at Goodmead when they were trying to flee, and I saw what the blood magic did to those people."
Marcus looks at him very kind of like mournfully and says, "I'm sorry."
He shakes his head and says, "That blood magic turns good people into complete and utter savages. They will destroy and kill anything, even their own kin."
So they're using the blood magic to, in their own way, conscript people to fight for them?
Yes. And
Was anyone able to resist it?
very few. Some who are more powerful with their mind, sure, but most are not.
What do you know about the ancient white dragon?
The old White Death has been a scourge in this land for years. Many have tried to kill it. Many have failed.
Do you believe that it has any role in these events?
He gives you a curious look, and he says, "I hadn't thought of it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Dragons get smarter as they get older, and, well, he is very old."
Marcus nods, says, "Thank you, Father. We will Do what we can.
Yes, and if you'll excuse me, I have someone I need to talk to.
Of course.
And
Demarcus bows.
he walks over to Isolde, who appears to be walking away from the shrine, and he says, "Where do you think you're going?"
She, like, kind of stops for a second and doesn't look at him and then takes another step away.
He says, "You turn around here right now."
And she'll come back.
He has a warm look on his face. He says, "You don't think I would remember the stride of one of my many acolytes? You stroll in here
suppose.
pretending to be a nobody when you are clearly the daughter of your mother."
Suppose I didn't really know how you felt about that.
Yes, well, perhaps an apology is in order. And he sort of comes over to the side, out of earshot of most people. He says, "When I rejected you from your calling, it was a mistake. Though not in the way that it happened. It was the right thing for us to do, but... well, I saw more potential in you than just a simple alleviator, and I'm sorry I never told you that." But he sort of looks over you and says, "But well, I'm happy to be right. You are beaming with the energy of Ilmater, and you appear to have made him very proud."
She smiles at that. I've been trying my best.
Indeed, and your powers, your divine ability is surpassed even the greatest priest of this town. That is very apparent to me.
Well, I've been working really with the goal in mind of hopefully atoning for the things that I had done, the things that you saw during my trials. Do you think that that is the thing? Do you think that it is possible to atone for that?
That and much worse. They don't call him the God of Mercy for no reason. He is there to forgive.
There were times early on when I thought that maybe he would take my powers away, but he hasn't so far, so I hope you are right that I've been making him proud.
He smiles and he says, "More than that, I believe you are here for a reason.
What reason?
Well, a darkness is being cast over this city. Someone has to save it. Who better than you?"
I wish I knew how to save the city.
You have surrounded yourself with powerful allies. I'm sure with their help, you can accomplish many great feats.
I hope so. We're going to try our best at any rate.
And he says, "Very good. Well, I have a surprise for you."
Did you know I was coming?
No, but, well, not until recently. But, the lords have told me to expect you. As for the surprise, I would like you to know that, there are a number of people in this city who are looking out for those who are being removed from the city. And, well, let's just say your, family is in good hands.
My family?
He nods.
Can I insight check him?
Yeah.
Is he talking about my mom? Damn.
You're real dumb, so you don't know. No, he's not. He's not trying to deceive you. Yeah, he's clearly talking about your mother.
She looks very relieved. Is there any way that I can see my family?
In time, but just know they're safe. They're being watched, and they're being protected from the outside.
Thank you. These people that you're talking about in town, the ones that feel the same way that I do, are they organizing?
Yes.
Who will lead them?
A strong woman. You'd like her.
Do they have a headquarters of some sort?
They do, but it is not accessible to you. It is and must be kept a secret. But I can relay information.
Well, if you do get in touch with them, just tell them that there are more allies here.
Yes. I will.
Thank you, Father.
Yes, Isolde. Welcome back.
We might not be here for very long. We're going to see some of the towns that have been sacked by the frost giants. But I'll keep in touch.
Very well. And, if you can, please try to, save whatever towns are left. And he smiles and walks away.
She'll go back and join the group.
Alright. What does everybody do?
DeMarcus had, after he talked to the priest and sort of felt very kind of like himself again, in a way, and while the priest was talking to Isolde, he would have walked outside and he casted Find Steed during that time, and he will be found outside hanging out with his good old friend.
Nice. Yeah, dude. Your, very war-scarred horse appears in front of you and, seems to be, happy to see you.
That's we're just spending some time together.
All right. Does Zolda just join back with the group? Did she say anything to him, or?
Not yet. She'll probably wait until they go back to the inn for the night.
Okay. Does anybody want to do
but
anything else, or should everybody return to the inn?
She would probably find it weird that DeMarcus has his horse, so she might just check in with him about how the Torm stuff went.
He looks at you and he says, "Good," but you can tell like that he is like a different person right now. He says, "Just reconnecting with my old friend here."
All right. Yeah, she won't press him for details, but she will look fondly at the scene of him and the horse and him looking content. But I think that's all the business in town for now.
Okay. You guys head back to the inn then?
Yeah.
All right. I will throw you back to the inn. Where you find did Terran sleep, or is he still sitting out?
He's out. He was probably just in one of, I can never move, these chairs. There's a wall. Going through Missile's notes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Magnus is like sort of bringing you food and drink and stuff, and trying not to bug you too much, but
yeah, he'll make small talk with Magnus too.
Okay. We'll just say
he's not being like super diligent in his studying.
Right. Okay. Well, he's just sitting in the chair then, chilling with you, and the rest of the group walks in through the front door.
Yeah, I'll head to the kitchen and just kind of call out to my father about the things that I bought in the market, and I'll start stocking the kitchen.
He gets up excitedly and asks Terran if he can excuse him, and then he kind of like run walks back to the kitchen to start cooking stuff.
Are there any other people in the tavern other than our crew?
Nope.
Sweet. Vosner will find a corner, I guess, and drop his wild shape.
Got it. You are now human Vosner.
Perfect. And he'll go over to DeMarcus, and he'll say, if I could select my guy. There you go, buddy. He'll go over to DeMarcus and say, hey, I'm not exactly sure what it was in the temple that happened, but I haven't sensed peace like that in you in a while. It's good to see.
Marcus puts his hand on Vosner's shoulder and says, "Thanks, Vosner. I'll think this group finally got something that it needed. Paladin back."
Yeah. Well, I only wonder what it is. Still don't understand what the gods have their hand in, or what they want from us, but it's good. It's nice to see that some people are understanding it. I hope to understand a little bit.
He looks at you like very warmly and he says, "I don't understand anything, Vosner. Just know that it's going to be okay."
Kind of nods and accepts what you said, but yeah, he's just happy that you're happy. And then he'll go and take a seat and give Paco a little scratch. That's about it.
Very well. What's Joe Hoff doing?
Honestly, Oh, does that work? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, honestly, I think he'd probably just be kicking back with a nail at this point. Not trying to do too much.
Got it. Okay. Marcus Wagner. Damon?
Damon wanders over to check on Taryn, see how he's doing. As he walks up, he says, "How has your afternoon been, Taryn?" And then, seeing that he has Missile's notes out, I will say, "Ah, good. Are you getting much out of those?"
It's been relaxing, if nothing else, and not as much as I'd like. He kind of motions at like a page with like blueprint technical drawings, and he's like, I can't really make heads or tails out of these.
Damon will take it and like look and see if he can get anything out of it.
Yeah, making an investigation check. Yeah, you are able to determine that this is a page where he was talking about like building the legs of a automaton, and how he had basically taken these blueprints from the dwarven mining robot book that he had found in Mirabar.
Fascinating. This may be a page we want to make sure we can keep track of. I have needed my legs repaired before, and this may come in handy should the need ever arise again.
Yeah, I just figured someone needs to at least be aware of what's going on here in case something breaks.
Yes, I do miss the little man. Despite the fact that I disagreed with his attitude towards the technological constructs that he produced, he was quite useful, and occasionally amusing.
Yeah, he was kind of a funny little man. But he brought good things to the table.
Indeed. And then if I can like look and see through the rest of them, I don't know if I would ever stumble upon all the writing he had about mastication. But Damon has thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's turns out all those pages were lost.
All right,
No, I'm just
that's cool. That's cool.
You can't do that to his memory, man.
Taryn will kind of flip to some notes that he might have found about like Damon being ensouled rather than like inanimate, and kind of show them to Damon and ask, can you make any sense out of these? Like he's looking for like the process of ensouling.
Would that I could. I have hoped to make sense of this riddle much on my own, even separate from Master Missile's former interests in it. Yet the process remains as mysterious to me as it was when I first learned about it. All I know is that there is something about me that makes me different from, say, Morty, any of his Mortys.
Something goes, yeah, it doesn't look like Missile made any progress either. And he's like clearly a little frustrated.
Indeed.
Though it does on that page say Yithrin on it with like a
Yithrin?
question mark as like the key.
Ah, Ithrin. Yes, this is a former Netherese city, lost many, many years ago. I wonder why Missile took interest in it. I wonder who told him to take interest in it, if indeed anyone did.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it popped up in all the time he spent at libraries, but if this is a mystery you want to run down at some point, you should probably keep it in mind. Or at least flag it in case we hear anything else about it.
Perhaps.
Were it not Master Missile who brought it up, I would find the concept laughable in and of itself. Ethan was lost a long time ago, as I said. I can't imagine there is much hope of finding anything of use amongst any rubble that might remain. Yet, Master Missile was not one to waste his own time. Perhaps, in the future, we may want to look into this.
Yeah. It could be like the ruins in Luskin, where it's on the surface, crumbled and crab-infested, but underneath it there are chambers that have been lost to time, but kept there.
Yes, and we all know how much fun that was. Well, something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah, with any luck, there won't be any portals to hell the next time around.
One can only hope.
Alright, what is Beryl doing during this time?
Sitting at the table with his spellbook out, the Grimoire, and like meditating on what spells would be most effective for us on the next leg of our journey, so that after the long rest he can prepare accordingly.
I'm gonna have to head out a little early. I don't want to cut into anything if other people have scenes they want to do, but I'm gonna have to duck out.
And maybe while Varel is thumbing through the spell book, he kind of like looks up and stares off straight ahead at nobody in particular. In his face has like a slight tinge of fear or apprehension on it, and he says out loud, "Tourmaline," and looks at the group and says, "We should prepare to fight."
Vosner turns to him and says, "Fight what?"
Giants and orcs.
Tomorrow? Taryn asks. He gets up and walks towards him like, are they going to be here tomorrow? Is that what you're saying?
He'll nod and say, "Not here, at the city of Tourmaline."
Marcus is sitting at the table and he says, he basically would recount to everybody what the priest at the Triad Temple told him. So you guys know that the priest thought there might be something behind the White Dragon in all of this, and as far as involvement. Marcus would especially talk about how the blood magic is being used to basically like turn people into like mindless marauders, basically, and we'll have to do whatever we can to try to protect ourselves from that. And that the people in charge of the town are unscrupulous at best, but untrustworthy and probably bad.
Very well. Well, we have a couple people that need to dip out, and next session, Garrett and Laurel won't be able to be here because they'll be like out of town. So there's possible options where we could do like a shorter session, a smaller group of people playing. Maybe we come up with a narrative reason why Isolde and Vosner stay behind and the rest of the group goes to do this battle, which I can scale in any way, and we can definitely do that. Alternatively, we could just skip next session, and we don't have to decide it now. I just wanted to put it out to people.
I'm apprehensive to go without our healer, but...
Yeah, no, I would definitely scale the encounter down significantly. But
I'm fine with taking the session off for
Okay.
a number of reasons, but
Same.
whatever everybody else wants to do.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's pretty easy for me either way because I've already prepped all the stuff, and then, but yeah. So
Alright.
we'll just, I guess, we won't plan either way, but I think people are gonna lean towards not having the session.
I think that's generally where I'm leaning at the moment.
Okay. So then we won't meet next week, but we'll meet 2 weeks from then, I guess, and we will keep on the story in Bryn Shander.
Nice.
I'm gonna miss you guys so much next weekend.
Well, it's your fault, and everybody blames you.
Just Laurel's
That's
fault.
accurate.
Yeah,
We'll
I
have to
feel
expand
like
the needs.
somehow Gert's not guilty in this whole thing.
Nope.
Wow. Rude.
But yeah, that was a really solid session. Like I didn't even have to. I mean, there was like literally zero combat. It's one of our big narrative days instead of a big fight
Mhm.
day.
I love it. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are slowly unraveling the mystery of the complex political situation in Bryn Shander.
Pretty intense.
Let's overthrow the whole place and institute elections for Terran.
Yeah, who's your guy? Who are you gonna put in charge?
It's gonna be free and fair one candidate elections.
Yes.
Perfect.
Soviet style.
Damon is extra concerned now about seeing that assassin that looks exactly like Isolde all those many weeks ago.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about any of the blood magic stuff. She's fine.
The good news is that assassin was an Uthgard barbarian, and we know those aren't around. Oh wait, never mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, it'll be fine.
Very concerned that maybe keeping that to himself wasn't the right move, but I guess we'll find out.
We all did see her do some bloody stuff as well, though, so it's public